every 3 to 5 years, there's a tremendous mixing of the population. So the answer is, don't worry about dialects in the United States. Accents aren't that hard. What you need to worry about if you go to the United States are all the other people you're going to meet who are speaking English as a second language, because there are lots of them. The United States now has had the greatest wave of immigration in the last 100 years, in the last 10 to 15 years. Now, I think the statistic is approximately 10% of the population in the United States is not speaking English as a first language. Approximately 10% of the population is speaking English as a second language, and was born, probably most of them were born overseas. This means that where you're going to have a problem is when you go into McDonald's, because this 10% of the population are mostly immigrants. And immigrants come in usually without a lot of money, and they have to take the kind of jobs they can get. So where you find them are in the service industries, which are the places that you'll constantly have contact with them. People working the counter at McDonald's, the cashier at the Walmart, waiters in restaurants, taxi drivers. It's a standing joke that none of the taxi drivers in New York City can speak English. They're all from Afghanistan or Kyrgyzstan or who knows, and they're all wearing turbans, and you get in the taxi and you say, "Want to go to the Metropolitan Opera?" And they say, "Huh? Where do I go? I don't know. All right, so you're going to have trouble when you go into McDonald's and you walk up and you say, "Hi," and they say, "Oh, what do you like?" And you say, "Excuse me?" And they say, "Can I help you?" And you say, "I just want a Big Mac, okay?" "Oh, Big Mac! Oh, Big Mac! Oh, Big Mac!" Okay. Same thing, particularly in the Southwest. Well, I erased my map too quickly, but in the Southwest and in California, but through major parts of the country now, we have lots of Spanish-speaking immigrants. And they represent a major part of the population now, and so you'll constantly be hearing Spanish accents. Some of them speak extremely good English, some of them don't speak much English at all. But you'll find they're in service jobs where you are constantly coming into contact with them. Those are the people you'll have trouble understanding. The native-born Americans, I wouldn't think a problem. Now, do we have any questions at this point? Questions? No? Everything's perfectly clear? Do you want me to talk some more, or should I stop?
It's up to you.
Well, I'll just say one thing, that you do run into problems in other English-speaking countries. I have been amazed in Great Britain that in Great Britain you only have to travel 30, 40 kilometers and everybody speaks with a different accent than the place 30 or 40 kilometers back. And that's partly because British society is not terribly mobile. People tend to stay in their villages. And as I said, same thing with Ukrainian villages. People stay in the village, they don't go off to the big city and come back. If they leave, they never come back. So the people there all talk to each other all the time, and they all sort of sound the same. But they don't sound like the people who live 40 kilometers down the road, because they're not talking to them. Those people are all talking to themselves too. So, and the same thing's true in Ireland. There are lots of different Irish accents, and you only have to go 30, 40 kilometers, and all of a sudden, maybe in the last village you had trouble understanding people. In this village, everybody's completely clear. They speak so distinctly. Why don't you go teach the people in the other village how to speak? The only case in my life when I really had serious problems understanding a fellow native English speaker, other than the incident that I mentioned in high school, was when I was hitchhiking in Scotland. And there's a very particular, well, there's a group of Scottish accents. But I was picked up by a truck driver from Glasgow. Do we know about Glasgow? Glasgow is one of the largest cities in Scotland. And strangely enough, the adjective for Glasgow is, don't ask me why, what's doing it all the same? Glaswegian. I was picked up by a Glaswegian truck driver. And it was clear that he was extremely bored driving his truck and he wanted somebody to talk to. That's why he picked me up. So he picks me up. Oh, hi, come on, right down here by your head. And I go, oh, okay, hi. Hey, I'm from Glasgow, you know. And I said, oh, okay, he's from Glasgow. All right, and he goes, and so we're driving along, and he finds out I'm American. He could understand me because he's been watching all the American TV shows, so he understands American without any trouble at all. I have no idea what this man is saying. And he's driving along, and he's going, and I go, oh, very interesting. Okay. And he drives some more, and he goes, and then he goes, and then he goes, and I go, oh, that went up at the end. That's probably a question. So I said, yes. He goes, here? Yeah? No, never, never have, no. And he slowly began to dawn on him that he doesn't understand me. So then he quit talking and he got very sort of sad because he picked me up so he'd have somebody to talk to. And here this strange American doesn't speak English. So that's the only time there have been lots of times in the British Isles when I've had to ask people to repeat things. Say, excuse me. But I was reassured when several years later I went to a movie in London. And it was a movie set in the slums of Glasgow. And it had subtitles in English, which made me feel maybe there was a reason I didn't understand the truck driver. Okay, are we all clear? Have I managed to fill my time here? I did 35 minutes. How's that? Okay? Let you take over and actually teach some English. All right, thank you for your attention. I hope it was interesting, and if it wasn't, well, they won't let me try again.
Do you have questions? No.
No?